I added another light bar to the grille of my truck and tinted it red.
In today's video, I'll be adding a daytime running light to the Cybertruck in the form of a light bar, and I am gonna try to tint this at some point throughout the video to see if I can add a little bit more personality to it. At first glance, pulled it out of the box, of course always packed well and shipped well like anything I've gotten from Tesstudio. But I thought this was gonna be super simple. Then I started to get into it and I thought, oh, you know what? This is actually gonna be a little bit difficult. And by the time I finished, it was very simple. The only complex parts I'm gonna make very simple for you today. I think knowing what I know now, this would probably take me about 20 minutes to install. The first thing you're gonna have to do is remove this whole inside frunk liner from the truck. I will walk through how I'm doing this. You'll kind of see an overview, but if you like to see a more in depth or you want more detail, I'll leave a video link down in the description below that shows you step by step how to remove this, but it's all very simple. A series of maybe 5 to 7 bolts and a little wire.
There's 2 little quarter turn set bolts, one in each front corner. These just go in slightly and then make a quarter turn to the right to go ahead and lock it in. As you see here, once that's out, you're gonna pop this little trim piece off the top, just a bunch of clips, then remove a couple pieces of plastic from the base. You're gonna unscrew 6 10mm bolts, 4 from the base, 2 from up top. Then you're gonna pry the whole frunk shell loose and carefully unplug 1 wire before removing the rest.
The next step is to move this little piece of plastic across the front of the truck here. It's gonna pop out, looks like with 4 simple clips.
A little downward pressure does pop all 4 of these clips out. Then you have to remove the little wire connection that's holding the little control in.
So the light bar that we're adding to the truck is replacing this piece of plastic we just took out. And it's gonna be pretty obvious because they're about the same size. However, it does still have the frunk opening mechanism in it. We're gonna pop this out and then put it back into this light bar here.
Using that same little included trim tool, it just pops out with a clip on each side, and you just push it back in just as described. And it's designed in such a way that you can't put it in backwards.
So here I'm definitely going out of order a little bit, but it makes sense for me to be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this panel off. Starts with this end piece, kind of holds it all in.
Again, the included trim tool pops this out, 2 clips on the left, 2 on the back. And that's followed by pulling out this long vertical piece of trim.
So your light bar has wires on it, and you have a wire that you just pulled out of the old one. So certainly these snap together, right? No, not that simple. So you're gonna have to slide these 2 wires into the truck, really just for finding any void or any cavity you can stick it into. Just make sure you have the button part up, because you'll need these clips to line up with what you just pulled out.
Just like it sounds, I line the light bar up about where it go and just push it through any open gap to get it into the main part of the frunk.
Now that we have the frunk removed, my light bar is generally in place about where it needs to go. I'm gonna walk you through what some of the next steps are gonna look like to help you best understand what it is. So I do have to get power to this light bar from the front of the truck. Now, there's an initial power that goes to your headlights. That part's really simple. More complicated part, if you let it be, you have to figure out a way to pass through this little congestion of shield here into your dashboard down below. The kit does come with this little torsion rod. It looks kind of like a shower curtain rod, but miniature.
This is gonna help you push that extension cable up front.
Your extension cable is gonna be this really long one with 2 yellow ends. It's probably about 6, 7, 8 feet long. Both these ends are the same, so it doesn't matter which one you stick through, but they do include some electrical tape, so I'm gonna use this to tape the wire to this little rod to make it to where it doesn't pop off as I'm pushing it through.
Tape it good enough it doesn't come loose.
I have found by far what I think is the easiest way. Let me show you what that looks like. So basically, I have to find a way to get a wire from this little dash right here where these wires are, all the way up into that front of the trunk. As you look in here, you can tell there's not like an easy access point to get through anywhere down here. So I was looking at trying to shove it back in here. Anyway, I looked at it and tried, it was really difficult. But then I noticed up here,
I saw what looks to be a hole filled with maybe a little rubber grommet. Sure enough, this pops right out.
So I do have a hole in here. Now the only question was, can I get from there down in between? Because if I could, it did look like I wouldn't be pinching any cord.
So with that dash panel pulled out, I'll zoom in here and you can actually see a little hole in the steel. I think I'll be able to pass through there up into the outside where you can see this hole here.
To help you better see the path this wire is going to go from the frunk down into that dashboard, I have this little glow wire fish tape I'll push through to let you kind of see it.
And as you can see here, it just slides right through if you stick to the far left of the side. And here you can see it on the other side, which shows you can see that daylight, so it's going to be an easy path.
Now I'm going to use this little torsion rod I rigged up and pass this along that wire back to the front.
Along the top of the screen, you can see me slide in this little torsion rod with that extension cable taped to it all the way up to where that little void is in the frunk. And here you see it sticking out the other side. I just unwind this electrical tape. Then once that cable is free, I go ahead and pass this almost like underneath where that washer fluid container is out into the void of the frunk that I'm working in. But back on the inside, I take that extension cable and feed it in through that hole we talked about earlier and push all my slack through as well. So here's the little wire there, and it's pushed through that hole that we talked about earlier that I pulled this little black plug out of. Now it goes down about a foot, and instead of going out the little circular hole in the steel, there's actually this big void that worked much better. I pull it out here, then I just leave it kind of dangling to where I'll be able to hook it up to the electrical once we get to that point in a minute.
So now it's a matter of connecting all the wires that we've pulled through. I'm still gonna have these two that came through from the daylight running bar, but now I have the extension cord that I need to hook up. But I'm gonna get power to this light bar from a little connection down here with this little red tab on it. So the wire you're gonna have to attach next is this one down here. It's got the little red to it. Now that little red is gonna pop out like so. And now that it's out, you just keep pushing out and the whole thing will eventually come out. Now I have several plug ends. I have the extension cable that I just pushed through earlier. I have the power cable I just unhooked here. But then I still have these two wires coming in down here from the actual light bar. Now I'm gonna grab this long extension cable wire. You have this long end with the white end, then at the end it's gonna split off into this T, which is two sets of black harnesses with three little wires. So we're gonna take the one that doesn't have the purple mark, and this is gonna plug into the wire that you just pulled from the power source of the truck. These clip right together. Other end of that T, you're gonna plug back into the thing you pulled out earlier, but before I do that, I now have this little white end. This is what's gonna hook to the white end I have down here from the actual light bar, and this clicks in the same. And now my light bar connection is good. I still have one more connection to go here in a minute. Okay, so back from the top view, this is the cord I unhooked from this little cable in here. So the other end of this T that I just hooked off with, this one's got the little purple on it, is gonna go back into that connection and click in like so. So I've just taken the power that was going to and from and connected it so it's still passing the power just the same, but now I have this little wire connected to my light bar. Now the extension cable that we fed in through the side of the door is gonna connect to that lone wire remaining from the light bar.
Now you're going to get that extension cable with the yellow on it that you just pushed in from the front and click this to the black harness with the yellow wire coming from your light bar.
So with that, all my connections are now made in the front. Now I'm going to go inside that passenger door area and connect the little connections up there. You're going to locate this little Tesla tag. That's going to tell you where your power is, and it's going to be connecting right here. Now, I've already connected a C9 screen, that little screen up there on the other side above my steering wheel. So I've already tapped into this power, and I'm also using this for my rear view mirror up here, the S92. So that's fine. You can use all these in conjunction. Basically what you're doing is you're pulling the power away, and just like you did on the front, you're teeing off to where the power is still passing through, but now allowing to go out and through to something else. So what we're gonna plug into that is this little contraption of harnesses and cords that we have left. You're gonna have a control box up top, and on the bottom, you're gonna have two sets of splitting off harnesses. You're gonna have this set here, then the larger set is gonna look like here.
Now you're gonna tee into the DC voltage of the truck. Forgive me as I'm filming with one hand, so I only have the other to work with. Once you split that off, go ahead and tuck it back in out of the way. Then pull back the lower dash part to expose what you're gonna be looking for, which is the main control board. This is that little blue harness. Now mine has a little white harness plugged into it, but that's just from other accessories that I put into the truck. As you can see, all of them here. That little bottom blue section is what was originally in there. Now, if you're gonna pull that out, and once that's free, you're gonna grab this harness that came with your light bar. You're gonna hook this into one side, and the other side is gonna either go back into an accessory you have, or likely back just into the main truck you got out. It's gonna slide straight up into it just like this. You'll hear a click when it's in. Then you're gonna have just this control box left. I go ahead and tuck that back up in there somewhere. And this little black harness on the red cable is gonna attach to your extension cable that's right here. And once that snaps together, you're all done on the inside. So I went ahead and just tucked all these wires back in before putting this long vertical piece of trim back in place. Now I'll use this little trim tool here again to kind of slide the weather stripping around the little trim. This goes really nice all the way along the bottom and all the way up the side. Once you get that into place, I go ahead and snap this little end cap on, and then you're all done on the inside. The only thing left that I forgot about is I do have to plug this last little lone wire back up to the trunk release mechanism on the front. Then once that's in, I go ahead and snap these back in really easily.
So now that I have all my wires put together, everything snapped into place, the only thing left is to put the shell back in. But before I do that, I want to give it a quick test. So I'm going to press on our trunk button. I think it'll shut without the frunk. There we go. And just to make sure we open okay. So far, so good.
Now time to put back in the frunk liner. Make sure you hook up that little push button first. Set it down into place, put these little two bolts up top, the 4 down low, put the little trim piece up top also, snaps into place. the two little locking nuts down in the corners, then the little bases, the little mat, the little pad. Here, time to test it. Here we go. Boom, there she is, looking good.
So at first glance with it in the truck, I'm liking the look. I'm looking forward to seeing it at night, but I feel like I need to add just a little bit more pop to it. I picked up some red tint in a roll that's supposedly specifically designed for automobiles. Very inexpensive. I'm gonna see if I can run just a little layer across the front of this.
So I went ahead and stretched this out, got a little bit of measurement. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it to the rough size, at least lengthwise. I'd trim the width later. Once cut to rough size, I pulled the backing off that exposed the sticky edge. Carefully went ahead and stuck this on. Again, I lined the straight edge up on one side of the factory cut, so I'd only have to trim the other side. Once I had it pushed down, I pushed all the air bubbles aggressively out. Then I grabbed my razor knife and trimmed along the edges and along that bottom side very carefully so I had a nice straight edge. Then went ahead and trimmed off all of the excess, and then here she is.
So I got it back installed. You can see it here behind me, although it looks a little bit more pink than what I imagined, but it is daylight. So maybe at night it'll be a little bit better.
Well, here it is in the dark, and in the dark it does look quite a bit more red. You can kind of get in here. So I will likely leave it, but there's a chance I might double up on that tint just to see if I can get it a little bit more red, but we'll see. And I've actually considered, let me know what you think, trying to tint this bar here as well. As always, thanks for watching this video, and if there's anything you want from Tesstudio, including this little front grille light guard, go ahead and jump on their site today. If you use my channel name Charisma, you'll get 20% off at least your order of any of these light bars or anything like that. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because up top, I just put on a light bar and I have that whole video too and a comparison coming your way. And if you're curious how I got that little glow green light below my light bar, subscribe to see that also.